Thank you for taking this course for Book Selling University about pricing your books profitably. My name is Brian Judd, and I'll be the instructor for this course today. And I have a lot of experience in marketing in general, which also includes certainly the pricing issues. And I was in a Fortune 250 company as a VP of marketing, so we had a lot of pricing issues for a wide variety of products, and it was really interesting to try to make these as profitable as possible, certainly, but also that would meet our goals for the unit sales. So we'll be looking at different strategies for pricing books on the for sales or for revenue or for profits as we go through here. Now, people ask me many times that they'll say, "How much should I price my book?" And they'll just call me up. And how much should I price my book? And there's so many variables. All I can say is it depends. And we'll look at some of the different issues that impact the pricing decisions as we go through this particular course on pricing your books profitably. Certainly what to expect from this course about how to price your books, as I mentioned, for sales, revenue, and profits. It might be or profits, because some of your decisions will impact the profits, or some will impact sales. So we'll look at when and how and where and why to do those. Also look at budgeting and give you some ideas about how to organize a cash flow program, but very basic. This is something that we want. That's many authors and publishers that just don't do this for each title. They don't anticipate the costs and the revenue and budget accordingly. So I'll show you some quick tips on how to do that also. Remember the old TV show, or the TV show, The Price is Right. And if you price your book too high, you lose business. If you price it too low, you lose profit. So you need to find that point at which you can come up with the right price that maximizes your profits. That in here, this area in here is the perception of value. As the price increases, the perception of value increases to a point, and at that point, the value decreases. It just doesn't become worth it. I have other alternatives that I being the buyer, can look at as far as the opportunities, or what I can sell or what I can buy. And this is particularly good or important in the corporate sales when you are actually competing against the coffee mugs or competing against the golf shirts. And so as you increase the price of the book, then the coffee mugs become more attractive alternative. So you have to look at perception of pricing too. That's really an important issue, and it creates that image of value. So here are some pricing myths. Some people will say that price is a determinant of sales. Well, promotion and distribution are determinants of sales. You have to tell people why they should buy it, why they will benefit, and then you have to have it available when they go to shop for it. And it doesn't matter at that point. The price becomes a non-issue if they can't even buy it. They don't know why they should buy it. And price is fixed. Well, that's a myth too, because price is a variable. I'll show you a variety of different ways in which you can have alternative pricing strategies, called adaptive pricing, for different issues or different situations, different circumstances. And it's all legal, so you can do that. But you have to look at pricing as something that is fluid, in the sense that you can have a price and have discounts offered for a variety of different reasons. So you're thinking about cost. That's the important thing. That your price is variable, so therefore the potential buyers will think about, what's it cost me. The price is $14.95, but if I lose 20 pounds, then it's certainly well worth it. Or if I become a better parent or increase my relationships or improve my relationships, then I have that value. So it's the promotion that creates the value. The price, maybe the perception of value, but actually promotion creates the value of the content of your book, and that's what people are spending their money to purchase. The they're not buying your book. It's an interesting point in the sense that when people buy something, they're not buying words and ink and pieces of paper. They're buying what those words do for them. And if it's going to make them wealthier or healthier or wiser, then that's what they're going to purchase. And so it's that value, and your promotion creates that value in their minds. So a major tenet of this entire course is that these all work together. That you have the pricing issues, but you have to consider promotion and distribution and the product form, and also the perceptions that all these together create. You may have heard of formula of X times the printing cost, well, X being 7 or 8. But the fallacy of that is that your printing cost changes, and it changes based upon the volume. You can go to the same printer and have 100 books printed at $3.92, or 3,000 books at less than half price. So if you go to this lightningsource.com, the shipping calc, this particular website, you might find helpful that you can go there. And what this does is, I'll show you, is a 5.5 by 8.5 black and white interior with white paper. It's a paperback, perfect bound, a gloss laminate, 196 pages. So you print 100 and the price is $3.92. You print 1,000, then the price, I have to recalculate here, the price goes down almost $1, just going from 100 to 1,000 books. So you can play around with this. If you go to this website, you can play around with that just to look at different quantities and come up with the appropriate quantity. But still, you don't want to multiply that times 7 or 8 to come up with your pricing, because when, for a corporate order, for example, you're selling books, you may easily get 3,000 to 4,000 books in an order, and you have to be able to manipulate the price when you negotiate. It's a negotiated price. And I'll show you that later too. I just want to give you the umbrella information now, the generalities, and we'll get into the specifics. But an important point I want to make here is that some people will say, well, I just want to price my book the same as competitors, and my competitors on the shelf will be $14.95, so I've got to price my book at $14.95. Or they're all at $11.95, I've got to be there too. But if they're at $14.95 and printing 3,000 books at a time, they're making a lot more money. It could be unprofitable for you to match that price if you're only printing 100 books at a time. So don't automatically consider your price as the same as your competition, because that's something that you could lose money, and it's so you don't want to do that. So that some of these general pricing strategies, you have that competitive strategy, which sometimes you may have to do that, and I'll demonstrate where you can get around that too. The market price that's the value pricing, where you have a book that has the additional value, and you can get a higher price for it. Penetration pricing is a low price, and skimming is a high price. And there are different times you can come up with a high price or a low price. And this is one of the handouts you'll be getting with the course when you sign up for the course. You've already signed up for the course, so you'll be getting this. And the idea is that you can choose a low price under certain conditions or a high price under certain conditions. So if it's more of a custom item for the corporation, for example, then you may have a higher price because it's customized. You put their logo on the cover or a tip-in page, for example. The production method, if you print digital, then you have to have a higher price because your printing cost. But just that I showed you before, if you print 100 books, it's $3.92, or 1,000 books, it's $3.01. So you have to have a higher price when you're using digital, or the mass-produced could be the offset printing. A real advantage there is that if you get an order for 3,000 books, well, maybe you'll print 4,000, so you get that much lower price, but you get 1,000 books in your inventory at the lower price, and you ship the 3,000 books to your customer. So just adding that extra quantity of books on the end of a print run, you can substantially reduce your costs and be more competitive. But if it's the obsolescence, if it's quickly outmoded, like if you have a book on Windows 9, that's quickly outmoded when Windows 10 comes out. So you have to be able to think about, do you have a short life or a long life, and obviously of the content. what I want to do here is just not give you specific pricing, but give you the guidelines upon which that you can use as parameters of when to come up with a low price or a high price. And a little bit further on, we'll be looking at how to come up with the actual price for that. But think about the distribution channel again, how that impacts your pricing. If you have a simple direct distribution channel where you're calling directly on the corporate buyer, then obviously you can have a lower price. If you have a complex distributor, wholesaler, retailer channel, then you have to have a higher price in order to meet all these different discounts and that these different layers will be doing. So the different considerations to look at those, and if you have different turnover titles, if you're producing a lot of titles over the course of a year, then you might have a lower price because you have to keep these moving to get the books out of the warehouse. At any rate, this is one of the handouts you will be receiving, and I hope that you find that helpful as far as coming up with the general parameters, the ideas about whether to go high or low on your pricing. Some of the other concepts here that the pricing should end in an odd number. And this is not the Judd theory. These are proven facts of pricing issues. Odd numbers just sell better. And it may be 1493 or 1497, but if it ends in 9 or 5, it has even a greater chance of being purchased. So the 1499.95 it may increase your sales, although all other things being equal, certainly. And that might increase your sales. It might just give you the edge over your competition. If your book is right next to a competitor on the shelf and yours is $14.95 and that other one is at $14.97, well, maybe it'll make a psychological difference, because particularly if you look at the value of that pricing, then it becomes even a greater issue of the difference becomes more of a psychological difference. And that, without getting too deep in this, there is a lot of psychology to the pricing and the impact that it has, but the value that it creates as far as the promotion that you do to give that substance to the pricing feature, then you create that value. And look, this is an important thing, that if you have to, if your book is a higher price, if you're at $14.95 and your competitor's $11.95, just look at that $3 difference. You talk about that. Don't talk about your book being $14.95. Talk about the fact that for $3 more, you get substantial value. And so you're looking at that incremental difference, not the total price. So get the prospective buyer's mind off the price difference and onto the value that they get for maybe $1 or $2 more. It's something that it can make a big difference. And if your price is higher than the competition, you want to talk about that difference as in terms of just $5 when you write it anyway. And if your book is lower, then for this number looks larger than 5. Now get rid of these drawings so you can see that. See, this number looks larger than that. So if you're looking at, you want to make the difference seem larger, you write it differently, and that will hopefully make the decision go your way, or at least one more point in your favor. And you get enough of those points in your favor, then that's when the decision is made. If people are evaluating 2 different books on the shelf, I wrote a series of books about how to get a job, and my books are on the shelf right next to 400 other titles about job search and different benefits for that. So I had to look at the pricing issue, the size of the book, the rear cover copy, the content, the table of contents. All these things were part of the distribution or the pricing decision. Or I should say the purchase decision. So now let's look at the idea of a different way of looking at pricing. So instead of looking at it in absolute terms, look at it in relative terms. About if your objective is to make $1,000, okay, then you can sell 150 books at $14.95 through a wholesaler. Let's say they're taking 55% off. The distributor will take a lot more, but just for not a lot more, maybe 5 or 10%. But just look at this in terms of the number of books or number of units that you have to sell in order to make $1,000. If you sell at the back of the room. Say you're speaking and you sell your book at the back of the room at net $14.95. You have to sell about half of the uh, of the books in order to make the same $1,000. Or if you whatever you create a DVD, I did back in the olden days before before DVDs. I did a video on the art of interviewing and described techniques for body language and eye communication and gestures and posture that I found difficult to describe in my book. So I just did a video on it and priced that at $49.95. And only have to sell 20 of those to get that same $1,000. So you see, the more you adjust the form of your content or the distribution of it, then you can actually sell fewer products. I created a bundle of 2 books and a video and sold those to the parents of graduating college seniors. And they bought these, and the bundle being that if they purchased all 3 together, it was a lower price than purchasing each of the 3 different items individually. So they saved $20 by buying the bundle, the package of the 2 books and the video. Some people wanted to buy them separately, and I made that option available. I also did a video program and packaged it with 2 books. Took the same concepts of interviewing, job interviewing, of the facial expression, the posture, the gestures, the eye communication, and did You're on the Air of helping authors perform on TV and radio shows. And I packaged that with 2 books at $99.95. I only had to sell 10 of those to make $1,000. Or just do 3 seminars if you're looking at it that way. See, the point is that you're communicating the same content, the same information, in a different form, which your product decisions certainly influence that, or come up with a new way of offering the same content in a different format. But the company, say you're selling it to a corporation, they may say, well, come in and we'll pay you to speak to our employees about the benefits of a healthy lifestyle, if your book is about that. So then they'll pay you to come in there, so you have a lot fewer people or fewer sources of your revenue in order to make that $1,000. So the point is that if you look at this and how you can create the different formats in order to create the same revenue and so that sort of. So I hope that makes sense. That you just don't think of that you have your book and you go out and sell it. Think about different ways in which you can package it, promote it, and come up with different pricing for it. There's some general discounting strategies we talked before about. Say pricing is not fixed, that you can offer a cash discount, particularly if they purchase a larger quantity. You might offer a guarantee. This is one client that had a guarantee for this book about getting a job. If you did everything that he suggested in his book over 90 days and didn't get a job, you got your money back. And sold a lot of books with that guarantee. I don't think anybody over the time actually asked for their money back. But the fact that you just offer a guarantee, and actually in the title, the career guarantee is just the title of the book. So that's a way of adding that extra value to it without lowering the price. The quantity discounts, that's if they buy 100 books, maybe they get 10% discount for a corporate buy, for example. Or if they buy 5,000 books, maybe they get 50% discount. But I'll show you later that it's more of a cost plus than it is a discount. But you can look at quantity pricing for anybody that purchases your books. You might go to an association, and if they buy your books as a fundraiser, then give them 50% off or whatever, and they can use it as a fundraiser or more. Market segment pricing, you may have separate pricing for libraries, for example, or for the military, that if they purchase in different binding or different quantities, then you give that pricing for that. Geographic pricing could be for international. If you're selling into Canada, a lot of books will have the U.S. price and the Canadian price on the rear cover. The Canadian price generally a little bit higher. It's because of the pricing difference, the pricing difference of those two. So that's a way of adapting the pricing. Eliminating comparisons. What I mean by that is that when you have your book on the shelf right next to a competitive product, then people can look at it. And this is $14.95. This is almost $19.95. But for that $5 incremental difference, look at the value. Look at the additional information that's in it that is perfect for what I'm looking for. So then they buy the higher product. Special event pricing, that could be something where you're looking at in a retail store. You don't do a book signing. What you do is go, for example, for my job search books, I did a lot of very lonely book signings. Then I decided I was going to offer a presentation about how to get a job. And people would come to the bookstore to find out how to get a job. And then, oh, by the way, here's my book. It's for sale. So by performing an event versus a book signing, I was able to sell a lot more books. So seasonal pricing is something that you can do with if you have books that are gift items that are sold during the May, June, July graduation period, or maybe the October, November, December holiday period, that you price it at the full price during those periods, but then between those times, you might price it at a lower price so that you are, or sell it at a lower price. So you're pricing, you're trying to level off your sales over the period of time. That's what I did with my book and my job search book. I would sell it to the bookstores, although there's no seasonal variable there, but there certainly wasn't sold it to colleges because the May, June graduation period, the students are looking for information about how to get a job. I told them they should look for it a lot sooner than that. But I sold a lot more books in that quarter of the April, May, June period. Then, and also that's when I did the mailings to the parents back in March and April. So that you have that seasonal pricing. When your demand is seasonal, you can adjust the pricing accordingly with bundles or with special event pricing. So now you want to look at your strategy, and most people will say, I want to increase my sales. Well, are you sure you want to increase your sales? It may sound like an odd question because you have three particular options. You can increase your unit sales, the number of books you sell. You can increase the revenue, about the amount of money you make by selling those books, or you increase your profits, how much money do you actually make after all your costs are deducted. You can increase your unit sales just by selling your book for $1 each. That will maybe give you some increased revenue, but certainly not profitable, or most likely not profitable if you reduce or assign all your costs to that. So let me show you what I mean by how these different strategies will impact how much money you make. So let's say you say, I want to increase my sales, and you have a forecast where you think that which is somewhat, it is logical that you probably sell fewer books at the higher price. So you may think that I'll price my book at $18.95, and if I price my book at $18.95, I'll make 1,800 unit sales. But if I do it at $9.95, I'll sell a lot more books. So if your objective is to sell more books, which price would you go with? Well, probably the $9.95. So in that case, think about your unit sales. About when are sales down? If your objective is to increase the sales, just the word increase sales means that sales are down. So think about when sales are down. If they're down during the period of January, February, March, April, all of a sudden spike during the Mother's Day, Father's Day graduation period, and they're down again until the fourth quarter holiday period, then you may think, well, I'm going to reduce my price here because sales aren't being made. Well, that's not what you need to do. That's when people are buying. Well, you don't want to reduce your price to the trade at that point because they're buying books here that they'll sell off the shelf here. But if you're selling your job search books to colleges, then you can certainly try to level off this volume by having the seasonal pricing for that particular product line. So just the idea, consider when your books are sold. If it's a seasonal product, when you need to reduce the price or keep the price up. But here's the more important, why our sales are down. So it may not be a pricing decision. It could be, you may have the wrong price, but maybe it's not a well-written book, or maybe it's not edited, or maybe the production quality is not there. So maybe the market's in decline. I certainly found that in the mid 90s, 1990s. I was selling my job search book and sold lots of them because there was high unemployment. But then the internet bubble came at the end of the 1990s, early 2000s. I couldn't even get on a radio show. People didn't care. They had a job if they wanted it. So the market was in decline. So it was not the time to actually bring out a new book, but I had different reasons for bringing out different product lines at that point. Is it the lack of promotion, improper distribution? Again, the different marketing functions come into play there. Maybe poor planning. Well, did you create a plan, or if you created a good plan but had poor implementation of it? So think about why your sales are down before you start playing around with your price, your unit sales, or considering why your unit sales are down. So now, maybe your objective is to maximize gross revenue. Well, here's a little bit different. Now that 1895 price looks a little bit better now. So you sell fewer books, but you're making more money. So they have 34,000 versus 22,000. So at 995. So maybe you'll price it at the 1895. That certainly looks a lot more attractive at this point because that you're making more money, and you're thinking, well, that's my strategy. I'm going to increase my gross revenue. So what are some strategies for increasing revenue? Well, increase the order size, certainly. If you go to a corporate buyer and you sell 4,000 books or 10,000 books, whatever, you're increasing the order size. I always tell people that if you want to sell 10,000 books, you can do that through a bookstore by finding 10,000 people to each buy one. Or you can go to a corporate buyer, an association, the military, and have them buy 10,000. One person can buy 10,000 books. So that certainly is a lot more profitable for it. But you want to have strategies that will increase the order size. Then maybe selling to new buyers. It could be even non-bookstore retailers. It could be airport stores or supermarkets or discount stores or warehouse clubs or gift shops or whatever it is. But now you're increasing your revenue because you're spreading your sales out to a larger number of prospective buyers. Then you want to look at growing your product line. I had the Job Search 101, which is a book about how to get a job. And then I wrote a book. A lot of people have been out of a job for a year or more. They knew how to write a resume and cover letter, but they had a bad attitude. So I wrote a book called Coping with Unemployment. And then people had a great attitude, knew how to write resumes and cover letters, but didn't know where to send them. So I wrote a book called Help Wanted, Inquire Within. That was about finding the names of people to contact. So my product line grew because I was responding to the needs of the marketplace. You can change your payment terms just by maybe offering a cash discount if they if they buy more books. They get a quantity discount would be a way of doing that. Or actually increasing your promotional spending. People say that I'm not going to spend more money on my book until it starts selling. Actually, I've heard people say that. But if you can increase the money that you're spending on the promotion to get them to actually so they become aware of it, they become aware that your book is for sale, in addition to understanding the reasons why they should, in fact, pay that money for it. So what price will increase will maximize your net revenue? That here you're looking at the profit on it. So you have your gross income, which might be I think I took a 65% distribution discount off this to result in your gross income. And then you have your $8,000 direct cost, which is that doesn't matter what the pricing level is, it's the same cost for that. But here's your net revenue. See, if you priced it at $995, you're actually losing money if you go through a distributor. So you need to really calculate this and figure out what your maximum price should be, what the price should be that would maximize your net revenue. And here, again, it looks like $18.95 might be a better deal. So if you were looking at just the unit sales, you would come down here and you would have lost money. And that's not a good way to run a business. So the idea is to look at that and come up with some strategies for increasing your profits and maybe generating cash before your pub date. This could be perhaps getting pre-sales or maybe a sponsorship, getting a corporation or some company to sponsor your book, and that certainly can be done. Come up with alternative, automate the payment system, payment stream, or maybe get PayPal. I use that for the Association of Publishers for special sales and also for my other book sales. That it's nice to wake up in the morning and come and check PayPal and see how much money I made while I was sleeping. And you can do that. Just automate that. So you don't have to call people to get credit card numbers, because most people don't want to send a credit card number via email, but they will give it to you over the phone. But that's certainly a time-intensive means for generating, or not for generating, but for receiving the money. But just automate it. You can do that while you're sleeping. Certainly, it can lower your costs. It's a great way to increase your profits, and maybe by eliminating your embossing or printing in a larger quantity. I showed you how that can reduce your costs. Certainly, change your distribution system. You may go to a distributor versus a wholesaler versus a distributor. You have to look at the impact on your sales, but you can, if you go from a 65% to a 50% discount, then you're making 10% more in profit. Pooling certain marketing activities. You may be able to get other publishers, other authors to split the cost with you. If you do a mailing to libraries, for example, then you can, again, all split the cost of production and for postage. So that's something that can help you become more profitable, and adjusting your prices. We talked before where you can stimulate greater sales by having an adaptive pricing strategy, or using those are different adaptive pricing strategies to adjust your price profit. So let's look how all this comes together. So here you're adding a little bit of a psychology to it, in the sense that here's the net revenue before that you looked at the $18.95 price to increase or to maximize your net revenue. But the likelihood of you selling 1,800 books is 10%. So, and these are subjective numbers here. I put those in to demonstrate it here. That your most likely profit is $394, which, and you're still losing money over here, because it's never 100% probability, but it's a higher probability that you'll sell these books at $9.95, but you'll lose money. So what you want to do is come up with the most likely profit, the most likely contribution, and here it's at $14.95, where you're maximizing the money you make. And that's why I look at pricing right here. This basically is a summary of everything we talked about so far. Is that you try to come up with this is why I look at pricing for my books, my products, and my association, and other items that I sell, other products and services. You try to look at the most likely profit that's going to maximize that, so I make the most amount of money. And that's, putting in the same amount of time. You could be the same 40 hours, or I wish I could only do 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week or more. Then that I might as well get more profit from that, maximize my profitability. So to summarize it, you want to maximize your unit sales, $9.95. You want to maximize your gross revenue, look at $18.95. And if you want to maximize your profitability, at $14.95. So these are just some strategies that I just want to, hopefully this comes across, that you just don't say, well, my competition's at $14.95, that's where I'm going to be, because all these numbers would change, obviously. Or my competition's at $18.95, so that's where I'm going to be. Or $9.95. You can't say that. You've got to be able to run some numbers, and I'll show you how to organize these numbers in a spreadsheet a little bit later. But this is something where you can do that now. If you can just put this together, where you look at your costs at different printing quantities, and then all your costs for producing your book, and you have your desired profit, and at a 65% distribution level, here's how that your final retail price, maximizing it, would be $20.95. That maximizes your most likely contribution. Let's say that you can't compete at $20.95, so you want to print at, say, 3,000 books, and you're willing to take $1 profit initially, because that's just to get everything working, right? So now, just by doing that, you've dropped your retail price down to $15.95 by printing a few more books, dropping your unit price, and taking less profit. Let's say you want to you still want to make $2 a book. That's okay. That's fine. Now you come up here. How can I reduce some of this information up here? Maybe the problem here, you don't want to eliminate or reduce something that's going to hurt the quality, but you may be able to come up with a cover design for $1,500, and maybe the layout you can get that done at $500. But see, again, you're down to $14.95 and still making $2 a book profit. So this just will show you how to manipulate a few different things and a few different parts of your marketing mix and come up with the most profitable price, because that's what, in my estimation, pricing is designed, or should be designed, to do that, where you have the maximum profit. So let's look a little more closely on doing that. How can you manipulate that? And thinking again of the 4 Ps: the product, the place, the price, and the promotion. And all these do interact. And here's an example of how they can interact so you can maximize your revenue in a competitive environment. Say you're debating, should I go with $14.95 or $11.95 for my book? No, but this is something that I ran into it when I came out with my book in the early 90s, The Job Search 101, which is no longer in print. And there's a book called What Color Is Your Parachute? And I had to compete against that, and that was $11.95, and I wanted to come in at $14.95. But I ran some numbers, and I was going through a distributor back at that time, Logan Books, and they charge a distribution discount. So I had that to contend with, and I had the production cost and the promotion cost. I was thinking about $1 a book for that, $1 a book for that. So my total costs were obviously higher at $14.95, but my net income was higher. See, that's what you look at now. Here's the way I approached it. How many books do I have to sell to make $1,000? Well, it'd be easier to sell 619 books. It's I sell half the books and still make $1,000 of revenue. However, you look at this and say, my competition's at $11.95, so that's where I've got to be. I don't have the luxury of pricing at $14.95, because it's been in the business longer. The author has a reputation for that book, and the title of the book has a reputation. Here I am coming in trying to knock it off, and I've got to come in. I can't do that at a higher price. That was my theory. So I had to adjust my pricing strategies of using promotion. I thought I could do some more promotions and come up with a different format. I did an 8.5 by 11 to make it look more like a workbook, where the parachute book was a 6 by 9. That was a hardcover. Mine was soft cover. Hardcover at the time. It eventually did go to soft cover. And then I could change the distribution method, just going through wholesalers, or just going directly to colleges and directly to state governments. So I looked at how I could change my distribution method. I bundled it to the parents, or I offered the unbundled products that they could buy the 2 books and the video together, or they could buy each separately. They would certainly save them a lot of money. Instead of, maybe they didn't want the one of the books, so they could purchase the 2 books, the book and the video separately. Could add extra fees, but the shipping costs, and a lot of publishers will charge shipping and handling, and that can put you out of the running too if you charge too much for that. So consider the shipping cost, but that's one way you may come up with a lower price, and that's why Amazon sells a lot of used books. You can buy it for $1 for a book, and then pay $3.99 for shipping, or else you can buy the book at $4.99 for including shipping. A lot of people will opt for that lower price. They look at the $1 versus the $4.99, and but they're paid the same thing either way. So you can come up. We do that. We do these leather covers for some customers when they're looking for a nice holiday gift for their top customers. Well, we've created books with a leather cover on it, and they like that. Now, when they give it to a customer, it creates that real value when they feel that leather cover on it, and that it's a nice quality luxury product. Controlling the terms, well, that's certainly, if someone says that, well, I can't buy my budget's shot for this quarter, and I can't buy your books, I have to wait for 3 months. Well, you say, well, how about if I give you, if you give me post-dated checks, or I give you an invoice that's dated that, and then we will ship the books to you now, but you pay me 50% now and 50% later. Or maybe I give you an invoice, which I do some customers now, that I'll divide the total cost in 3s and send 3 different invoices over 3 different months. So those are the terms that I've created with that particular buyer. So after adjustments, look at it. Say you have to come in at $11.95 to compete with there. So you change your distribution. You go to a wholesaler. You change a little bit of the production cost of minimizing something, but without cutting the quality, overall quality. But you are by increasing the quantity of, or whatever, that you can reduce some production costs and actually increasing the promotion cost from a buck a book, a book to $1.50. The total costs are $9.32, where before they were $11.24. So now I want to sell 380 books, 81 books, in order to make $1,000. So it's sell 75% fewer books and still make $1,000 of revenue. So that's how the pricing issues can really uh, make or break a company. And it's just something that you bring all these different parts of the marketing mix together to create the total pricing package. So let's look at the impact of each of the four P's, the distribution of this. Here we looked at this guy going from a wholesaler to a distributor to a wholesaler, certainly, but selling directly, where you're selling yourself to these corporate buyers or to associations or to schools or the military, not necessarily public schools, but maybe the homeschooling sector. So that you are selling directly to them the same product, but you don't have the distribution discount now because you're selling direct, so you can be a lot more profitable. But if you look at this, how this impacts your pricing decision. So you have a book at $19.95 and you have 1,000 books available. Here's all the costs that you have to produce it. So your total cost of $4,500. You have 1,000 books, so your unit cost is $450. And you can sell through a distributor, a library, a wholesaler, sell direct at different discounts, or through Walmart. So you have 1,000 books. This shows if you sell direct, you can certainly make a lot more money. Or in the white area, that's automatically calculated for you. In this colored area here, blue or green, whatever the color is, turquoise, that you can play with it to come up with this, put the different numbers in, so you can come up with different quantities or where you want to direct all your distribution efforts into different categories, so where you can maximize your money. Or say you want to do 2,000 books, and your printing cost, this may go up to say 3,500. Now look at this, how this, you have 2,000. Now you have to change these numbers down here. So you have 500. These numbers automatically calculated for you, but down here you have, so you just do it right across the board, 100, and then 100. So now look at this, just by spreading your distribution over 4 different areas, and that's good. So you don't want to do any direct over here. So you take this out and you do 1,500 here. You want to sell a lot through bookstores, and you want to do some through libraries, and then you also want to sell some to Kmart or Target. So then you can make just by not even going direct. So you don't have to sell direct. You can sell different these are all through distributors. All you need to do is focus on your promotion, because you have a distributor will take you to the bookstores, to the discount stores, and the wholesaler, Baker and Taylor, will take you to libraries. So see how you can manipulate this, and just see where you're going to place your efforts, and also by adjusting different parts of your costs, maybe even different distribution discounts here. These are based on retail, where a lot of distributors will say, well, we'll price this at 30% of net, which is about 65 to 70% off retail. So that's a way that the distribution costs can be manipulated, or how pricing will do that. And here, this becomes a little more subjective, and you certainly have your different product decisions, and you can change the form of it. You can come up with the product form pricing. For example, I had that video in the art of You're on the Air. I did a video with 2 books on that, and had the bundling. The brand extension is taking your same brand into other categories. Like if you're really well known in the book business, well, you extend that brand into T-shirts or into calendars. The author extensions, there you are doing seminars or doing consulting, where you become famous as an author. So now you can become a consultant because you're known as as the expert in a particular field. Extend the lines into different, like the chicken soup for the soul books of for the chicken soup for the mother's soul, for the job searcher's soul, for for the pet lover's soul. So you have those. So, but here, the point I want to make 2 points here. One on the competition. This is totally subjective, but what I did is looked at various or two major competitors. So Title A was my book, and competitor A and B were the ones I had to work at. And I just did a subjective look at this of the brand recognition of this parachute book was known a lot better than I at the time. So I did this brand. I gave him a higher score. What the reputation, that's the packaging of it. So you look at each one of these, and these are just ones that I created. You can create a totally different list here. The idea, this shows you where you need to do some work. So maybe you do some adjusting on your pricing, and you compete a lot better in there because now your score is equal to competitor A, and maybe you have some. Well, this shows you line extensions, that you have the ability to create a variety of that, so that these becomes so now you're above competitor A. See, what this does is force you to look at where your pricing needs to be with this competitive analysis. So if you're very well, you think you're competitive on a value basis with competitor B, well, now you can go to the same price, $14.95, while the competitor B is at $11.95, because that you have the ability now to compete on that level. Maybe just go to $12.95, and so that's where you go back to the other form and see how your profitability runs at that price. But this can be a fun thing to do also, and you might want to get some other input on this. People that are aware of the titles available in your category, because you might be a little bit more subjective, or not as objective when it comes to your own book. But this is something that I found helpful to place emphasis on where I needed to work on a lot of different areas in my marketing. So how can you forecast that? When you do this pricing on this, as we just did before, you put in all your costs, and you put in your pricing here for editing, for the cover design, for layout, ISBN, other registration, other miscellaneous things, say 500, galleys, you send some marks or galleys out, marketing, $1,000, your initial. So now your total, so what you've done here is created your final retail price. What this also does is create your break-even point. Come over here, that your break-even, at those costs and volume, that your break-even point, you have to sell 359 books to break even. So how many books are you going to print? Well, maybe do 350 or 400 books, just because that you certainly want to break even on it. But then you come down here, and this is a way that you can use your total marketing concept to create the number of books to print. That your promotion budget, say you promote, you have some money left after production, you have enough that you can put into your promotion. A lot of people don't do that. They'll put all their money in the production. I run into that regularly. People say, well, I can't put any money into my promotion because I put it all into the production costs. Well, you have to budget that, certainly. But here, these are all subjective numbers here. And what this does also, it shows you where you have to be aware, where if you're deducting a percentage, that means that you need to consider those as far as your strategy. But here you have your second title out, so your bookstore distribution is already in place, that your title listed with Ingram, that you have a great competitive advantage, that just hit a few of these, send out a few review copies, that I just won't even look at these. I just click on some of these so you can get an idea. So now if you do all these things, now your initial print run could be 800 books, just because you have your total marketing program in place. So that's a way in which pricing can impact your decision on how many books to print, as well as your total marketing forecast. Now, pricing impact on promotion decisions. So your promo material has to demonstrate the value. So particularly at the higher price, that if you can show the incremental difference of how that the $5 difference translates into much higher value, then you can much more likely to get the sale. The testimonials, endorsements, certainly by high profile people can give you that sense of value, and promote that in your on your website and in your literature. Go to two trade shows, exhibit there, or just as you're walking the show, you can ask the exhibitors what they think of your pricing. Show them your book and say you're considering a price at $19.95 or $17.95 or $14.95. Which do you, or ask them what probably better not to give them alternatives, but say, what do you think a good price would be for this book based upon this value? If you're doing direct mail, which I do a lot of that now, instead of the emailing, do more of a direct mail, because particularly with postcards, they tend to, I found, tend to get a lot better response than an email blast that generally people just delete if it gets through at all. But here you have your artwork for this direct mail program and all the different parts of the program you have to put together, and the postage. And so you're mailing, your cost per piece is 66 cents. You can do 10,000. So here's your total cost of mailing. So here's your selling price. Now you want to find out, what is the break-even point? How many books do I have to sell of these 10,000 just to break even? Only 270. So, but if you look at that, if my price my book at $19.95, then so I have to, given all these costs, I have to sell 450 books based on all these same costs. But now so this is, say, your second mailing, so you already have the artwork done. So you can look at that a little bit. Now your break-even point goes down. So this, see how the price, by the way you change your pricing certainly impacts. Go back up here. Now your break-even point goes down even more. So this is just one way in which you can see the impact of your price based upon your other marketing decisions. Or maybe you only want to send out initially just doing a test. So you're just sending out, which I did with the parents of graduating seniors. I did a test market. So you just do 5,000 mailing for a test, and only to sell 120 out of that 5,000. So by doing a test market, which is certainly a legitimate and some, I think, a required concept for your pricing decisions or your promotion decisions. But the thing about the media, you want to look at niche media instead of getting. If you sell a book on dogs, if you get on today's show, you may not reach a lot of people who are interested in dogs. But if you get on the dog channel and do a promotion there, then you're certainly reaching a lot more people who are interested in your book. So your cost efficiency goes down substantially. Promoting the cost instead of the price, promoting the guarantee, especially event pricing. These are all parts of the promotion decision. That your pricing will impact them, and your promotion impacts the pricing also. It also impacts your internet marketing. And here, your focus should be on conversion. Just getting people to your website is not going to sell you a lot of books. People talk about the idea that I had 1,000 hits this month on my website. Well, how many books did you sell? You have to convert those people, and how do you do that? By doing some things, by maybe offering free shipping, maybe saying it's the perfect gift idea, or if you buy it today only, then it's you get 10% off, or if you buy 100 books, you get these kinds of discounts. So that these landing pages, this is an important point, that on your website you can have people buy for different reasons. The retailer will buy they want products that will increase store traffic, that will help inventory turns, or give them more profit per square foot. So on your landing page for retailers, you demonstrate how your content or your promotion will help bring more people into their stores. The librarians don't care about that, so you have a separate landing page for librarians, a separate landing page for the media, because they don't care about the helping patrons. They want to have a good audience, a good show for the audience. So you can see how just by creating separate landing pages, so you appeal to the motives of the different buying groups. Sales for special periods, certainly you want to have that option if you have a great book for Valentine's Day. Well, on the period before Valentine's Day, when people are actually doing the shopping for Valentine's products, then you have that offer. And maybe when they get the shopping cart, you offer a special promotional coupon. When you ship the books to them, you put a flyer in there demonstrating the fact that they buy other titles, and then at this particular discount, then they can get that quantity. Autograph books. If the book is a gift, who is the gift for, and you autograph the book to that person. These can make some kind of a reward program. If you have people that come back to your site regularly, if you have a large product line, or if you're offering this to schools, and maybe have a state education department come together. If each of the individual schools orders your books, then they get a discount if they reach a certain quantity. But this sale is only good for the next 3 weeks. So put some time offer on it, and when that time is over, take it down. Most people say, well, they'll extend the offer if it doesn't work out. But if you take that down, you can start it up a week later, but just take it down when you say that's going to be done. Online only specials, suggest related products. That here, this job search book is great, but this video will actually demonstrate to you the functions of posture and eye communication and gestures and types of clothes to wear. So that is the way of the not necessarily upselling, but it's related selling. Encourage impulse buy. That offers only today only. You get that. There's no free shipping today only if you buy it. So you encourage them to buy it today and not have to worry about them coming back. And the product form could be different. Selling the ebooks certainly at a lower price than the printed books, and that can impact your internet marketing. Let's look at some non-retail pricing. Now here you're calling on the corporate buyers or the associations or the military or schools, but it's all non-retail. So they're buying in larger quantities and typically non-returnable. That certainly impacts your pricing decision. But here it's cost plus. So instead of looking at the 60, 55% discount off retail, you're looking at what's my printing cost, what's my markup at that quantity, and how much money will I net. So here that is your way you're looking at it. But again, it's not a percentage increase. It's the markup here that you assign that the book to come up to a lower price, because if they're buying 10,000 books, they certainly expect a lower price than if they buy 100 books. And that's how you will price it, the difference in pricing for the corporate sales versus the retail sales. And the retail sales apply to bookstores as well as libraries, as well as the non-bookstore retailers like the airport stores and supermarkets. But the cost plus pricing is more for corporations and associations and schools and so forth. So look, if you're budgeting for this, and here they're looking at those spreadsheets where you have the price for the unit price versus the price for revenue versus the price for the profitability. So you look at these strategies, so you come up with your final combination of marketing strategies. Then you create the plan for that, a forecast for that. Then you create your cash flow statement, which I'll show you momentarily. And is that profitable? Can I make money off that? No. Well, come back up here and work on your strategies and manipulate the 4 Ps. And how can you create a different combination to make you more profitable? Then you finally say, yes, it is profitable. Then you implement the plan. So that is now, what's the cash flow look like? Or how do you do that? This is how you do that here. This is just for 4 months. You certainly extrapolate that out for 12 months. I suggest doing this for the first 3 years. And the third year might just be on a quarterly basis, but year 1 and year 2 could be monthly. And so here you have the unit book sales per month. So the month 1, you don't sell anything because you're doing all your production. A lot of the planning that this could be done pre-press or pre-publication, certainly. Returns may come in 4 or 5 months later, so you don't get returns from month 2 until month 5. But you're selling 100 books at direct mail to the consumers, so that you have that price that it's $19.95 times 50 books. So, or selling it to after your personal presentations at net. But here's your revenue based on, and you play around this obviously about how you can forecast different pricing and different quantities purchased. And the thing is here that you can't just come up with numbers. It has to have some basis in reality that you can forecast first month I'm going to sell 10,000 books. That's highly unlikely. In the first year, it's highly unlikely. Some books came up with with a figure that something like 92% of authors don't sell more than 100 books, something like that. But now that you've taken this course, then you'll be in the top 8%. But look down here at the expenses here. So the first month, you do a website with a trailer, you create some sales literature, you send out review copies, you do a little direct marketing. You do direct marketing every month just to keep that promotion going. You have a launch party, you take some media training, and you have no revenue, so you've got to step up with $7,500 before you even make a buck. And then the second month, you're getting some revenue in. And this number comes right down here, and then the expenses come here. So here you have, in month 2, you have the ending balance is $1,200. You broke even here, so you have nothing coming in. So this ending number here is the beginning balance for the next month. And the ending balance is the beginning balance for the next month. So you just manipulate these costs. And the thing is, you can't just manipulate the costs until you come up with the profit you want. Because if you do less promotion, if you don't have a launch party, if you don't send review copies, well, maybe you won't sell as many books here. So when you eliminate the expenses that are revenue producing, then you've got to reduce your sales also. But a cash flow can be a good way to get your forecast in place, and if it's done reasonably well. Here are some things that I did to help you give an idea of planning your costs. And these are all totally subjective. These costs over here represent the marketing actions. Like the first thing you need to do is join apps. That's important. And now a lot of these things don't require or don't have a cost. Segmenting your target market, creating your plan, doing your budget. These are time intensive, but they don't have an out-of-pocket cost. So what I did is just try to put a value on what might be for your out-of-pocket costs for a variety of different things. And again, these are all subjective. You come up with your own, but you might use these just for your first cash flow statement. And if nothing else, this list of all these different actions that you may need to take could give you some good ideas about what you need to do in order to create a profitable product line. So that is the information I want to get across to you today. I hope you found this course helpful, and just remember that if you can think of pricing as part of your total marketing mix and not just a fixed amount where you can manipulate it or how it impacts or how promotion and distribution impact your price, and your pricing impacts your product decisions, your promotion decisions. So these all work together. It's not pricing in a vacuum. It's pricing as part of your total marketing mix, and that's going to help you become a lot more profitable. You'll sell more books, you'll make more revenue, and become more profitable at the same time. I wish you great success in doing that, and please contact me if you have additional questions or any other recommendations for this particular content or the course or book selling university in general. Thank you very much, and I wish you great success.